Assalamualaikum class 5. So now before we start our lesson, I just want to show first the format that you're going to use for the homework. So first you have to use a clean sheet of paper like this, and then you have to draw a margin line on both sides of your page, and then on top of it you have to write your name and then your class and section like this 5A, and then below you have to write the date and also the topic, like for example convert decimal into fraction, page 66. And then below, you are going to write the question number that you're going to answer and also the part. Like for example, question number 3, part A, change into common fraction the 10.01. And then you do your solutions here. If you need to have your rough work, you can do it on the side, but you have to draw your margin, you have to draw a straight line to separate your solution and your rough work. And then finally, in the last, you have to write your final answer. And of course, in the last, you have to draw your finishing line. Okay? Now, let's start our lesson. So our lesson for today, January 26, 2022, is about converting decimal to fraction or fraction to decimal. Now, remember that we have the place value chart, or meaning the decimal place value chart that we discussed last time. So if you remember, you have here the point, the decimal point. Before the decimal point, these are your whole numbers. And after your decimal point, these are your decimal part. Okay, so in the whole number, you always start with the ones in the place value. Then next is the tens, and next is hundreds. After this, after the point, the decimal point, we start with the tens, and then followed by hundreds, and then followed by thousands. Now let's have the first question. For example, I give you 0.3. Or if you notice here that in the whole number, that is 0.3. So in the decimal part, I have here 3. Now let me write that into the place value chart. So our whole number is 0.3. So how to read this properly, as I mentioned to you last time. So to read it properly, we have 0 and 3/10. So we have to mention the place value of the last digit of the decimal number. Now, to write this into fraction, we just have to simply write in the numerator the number in the decimal part, which is 3. So we have to write that into the numerator, which is the 3. And then in the denominator, we just have to write the place value of the last digit. Since the last digit is 3, so the place value of that is tens. So that is equivalent to 10. So therefore, 0.3 is equal to 3/10. So again, 0.3 is equal to fraction that is 3/10. Now, let me have another example. Let me have here 0.25. So if you notice, again, our whole number here is 0, and 25 is the number in the decimal part. Okay? Now, let's write this one into the place value chart. So as given here, the whole number is 0.25. So our whole number is 0, and the decimal part is the 25. So what what will I write in the numerator? So the number that I'm going to write in the numerator is the 25, which is the decimal part. And in the denominator, that is the place value of the last digit of this number. So the last digit here is the 5. So therefore, this 5 belongs to the hundreds. Then the denominator will become 100. So therefore, the 0.25 is equal to 25 over 100. Now let's have another example, 4.07. Now, if you noticed here now in this given, I have now my whole number, which is 4. And the decimal part now is 0.0. My decimal part now is 7. Now, if I'm going to read this properly, this will be now 4 and 7 hundredths. Now, let me place that again to the place value chart. So, we have here 4 and 7 hundredths. Now, so how will I write this one into fraction? So, if you notice here, my whole number is 4. So, therefore, this fraction now will become a mixed fraction. So, our whole number will be now 4. So, I will write it in the whole part of the mixed fraction. And my numerator will be 7, since the decimal part here, your decimal part, this is your decimal part, is 7. So I will write that in the numerator, which is 7 over. Now, if you see this one, 7, the place value of the 7 is hundreds. So, that's why the denominator that I'm going to use here will be 100. So, I will be having 4 and 7 over 100. Let's have another example. If I have here 10.3 thousandths, okay, or 10.003. So, we have here, if you notice, our whole number is 10. And in the decimal part, we have 3, which the 3 belongs to the thousandths place value. So let me write that one into the place value chart. So our whole number is 10.003. So again, if you will see, the 3 here is in the thousandths place value. And you have here a whole number. So your whole number, how will I write that in fractions? So this 10 now here, I will write that one into the whole part of the mixed fraction. So this is my 10. And then I have here now 3 will be in the decimal part, okay? In the decimal part, you have here the 3. So let me write that one. I will write that one in the numerator. And in the denominator, I will write the place value of the last digit. So the place value of the last digit is thousands. So I'm going to write here thousands, 1,000. So therefore, the decimal now of the 10.003 or the 10 and 3 thousandths is equal to 10 and 3 over 1,000. Now, this is how to convert the decimal into fractions. So, you just have to write in the numerator the decimal part, and then in the denominator, you just have to write there the place value of the last digit. Now, let's have now fraction to decimal. Okay, so now if you notice here, I have here 14 over 1,000. So I have here 14 over 1,000. So it means that since there is no whole number here, so this means this is just a decimal number. So what is my whole number here? That is 0. Okay, that is 0. Let me place that one into the place value chart. So since my whole number is 0, so I'm going to write here 0 point. And then it said here that in the decimal part, I have to write 14. But the the last digit must fall into the 1,000 place, into the thousands place. So therefore, the 4 has to be in the thousands place. So I have to write 14, so that is 14. So therefore, since there is no number here, so I'm going to write here 0. So that's now the answer. So it means that 14 over 1,000 is equal to 0.014, or in proper reading, we have 0 and 14 thousandths. Now, next one, number 6, I have here 8 over 100. So, in 8 over 100, again, if you notice here, there is no whole number here. So, our whole number will be 0. So, let me write that into the place values chart. The whole number will be 0 point. And then you see that the decimal part, the number in the decimal part should be 8. And that 8 should fall into the hundreds placed value. So now, I'm going to write the 8 and it has to fall into the hundreds place. So this box here is for the tens. So I have to write it in the hundreds. So I'm going to write here the 8. So since there is no number here, I'm just going to write here 0. So our answer now will be 0.08. Or as we read this one, this is 0 and 8 hundredths. Now let's proceed to the last, which is 2 and 5 over 10. So if you see here, we have a whole number, which is 2. And then in the decimal part that we're going to write is 5. And this 5 must fall in the 10th placed value. So let's write. So our whole number is 2. So I'm going to write it here. So this is 2. And in the decimal part, I have to write the 5. So that is 5. And it has to belong to the 10th place value. So the 10th place value is here. So I have to write here the 5. So that will become now 2.5. So therefore, the 5 and the 2 and 5 over 10 is equal to 2.5. Okay, so that's all for our lesson for today. So you will have your assignment, which is page 66 of the new book. For the old book, it will be page 62, number 1. Okay, it's a chart, and then also number 3, which is this one. Okay, so number 1, the number 1, and the number 3. Okay, Allah Hafiz.